Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. For those that don't know me, my name is Guy Jelley. I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of PPO. Today, I will be helping with this session together with my colleague Tarryn-Leigh Frans, who is one of our PPO consultants and also looks after marketing at PPO. So, for those that are new and joining, we do this on a quarterly basis. If you don't know, we have a long list of features that we deploy, and then on a quarterly basis, we host this webinar. So this is the first one of the year. We typically do 4 a year every quarter. So thanks for joining, and thanks for spending the time today. It's a 1 hour session, so we're going to move fairly quickly through it. As I mentioned earlier, it is recorded. We've had over 240 registrations for this. There are always people that get stuck in a project meeting or life happens on the day. But we normally see the numbers ticking in during the session. So we're going to start and get going. From a welcome point of view, thanks for everybody for joining us. I'm going to introduce him a bit later, but our client spotlight this session is Victor. Victor has been a PPO client at a number of organizations and is going to lead us through his session when we get there. So thanks, Victor, for joining us, and I'll introduce him a bit later. Agenda very briefly. The majority of today's focus is going to be on the scheduler. For those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about, PPO released at the end of January our own scheduling tool within PPO. So it gives you the ability to create project plans and schedules and do dependencies. And it's called the scheduler. It's a feature of PPO. Every existing PPO client has it and gets it. It's not something you need to license separately or pay for separately or activate. It's part of the base functionality, and that's available to everybody. Stephanie, I see you got your hand up. If you can just post your question in the comment there, the ladies can help you while I just get through the agenda. And then the session will cover that scheduler and give you some feedback on that. We then have a client spotlight, which is Victor. A lot of work has been done at Momentum Africa in their PMO around benefit tracking and also making use of the customizable homepage. So Victor's going to be taking us through that as a client spotlight. For those of you that have never been to a session, every quarter we get a current PPO user who's done some good and wonderful things on PPO, and we call it the customer spotlight or showcase. And we'll be doing that today. And then the smaller items that we're going to be doing, improvements to the feed, homepage tab, and drilling into the key metrics. We're going to be adding that. We're going to be talking about those. And then there's a coming soon item, which Taryn will cover around planned progress. And then at the end, we'll do any Q&A. There are some links to some of the latest enhancements that we will share as well. And then we'll also just briefly share with you the next product demo. If you have colleagues who are battling to get in, the ladies will try and address that and post the links and share the links so they can join. But if there are any connectivity issues, then please just let us know. But Taryn has shared the link over there, which can be forwarded to other people. Okay, so that's the agenda for today. Thanks for joining us, and let's run through the session as quick as we can to get through it. Okay. We'd just like to welcome these clients. I don't know if they're all on the call today. So on a quarterly basis, we just like to showcase some of our new clients. These aren't all of them. So if you have subscribed to PPO in the last quarter and your name is not here, please don't feel unloved or unwanted. We have only showcased 4 of them. There were a couple. There were actually almost more than double this in the last quarter, but we just wanted to hold back some for the next session to give you your own welcome. So Tshwane University of Technology is come on board, 2 consultancies, Web and Associates, and then Gen 2, and then the PMO at Easy Gas has also joined PPO in the last quarter. So thanks to those new clients who've put their faith in PPO. And for those that are not here, it's a way for us to get you back next quarter, because we'll definitely be showcasing you next quarter. I know there's another university that signed up, and there's 2 others that I know of in the last month that will showcase going forward. So it's good to see the PPO family growing. I mentioned this up front. We have a very active and busy development team. They develop PPO on a daily basis. They keep our servers running and look after all our ops stuff. But this is everything we've done since January. And for most of you in South Africa that know, January in South Africa only starts mid-January after the summer holidays end. So we've actually only had about 2 months of the year. but we've done a significant amount of deployments already. Just a reminder to everybody, these deployments are free of charge. They go out to every single client automatically. You all work on the same version of PPO, separate databases, separate web layers and application layers, but you all have the same underlying source code. Some of the features are inherent and you get it there immediately and you can start to use it, like the scheduler, and other features you would have to get your administrators to switch on or configure or customize. So these are all the lists of all the features. If you're not already subscribing to our blog, then you should be doing that. Lindy will post the link in the chat. Every single Thursday, we send a single newsletter to our blog subscribers and we cover all the features that are being deployed. That's the best way for you as a normal user or an administrator or a PMO head to know what's coming in PPO and what has been deployed. We don't sell you training, we don't sell you bodies or resources, we don't try and do project rescue or anything with those blog subscribers. We literally just want to make sure every user of PPO is well aware of the new features that we've deployed and have access to it. Those blog articles that we post have a short video, explain the feature, maybe show the before and after, and we give a very good view of how you would activate that feature. In some cases, some users can then go to their administrators and make sure that those features are being activated and switched on. But they're available to all of you, and we'll cover some of them today. So once again, thanks to the DevOps team. I know we push you hard, and I know the clients log a whole bunch of great ideas, but 2 months into the year and we've already released 12 features. So that's more than one a week that we've been deploying currently. And we'll continue with that as long as we've all got the energy at PPO, and we'll keep deploying those as well. Okay, if you haven't subscribed to the blog, Lindy's posted the link there. Every Thursday the newsletter comes out. The next one will be coming out tomorrow. That's all we send you, and then we send you once a year a yearly summary in terms of what we've done as an organization in the last year. So we don't do any Black Friday specials or any of that type of stuff. So don't worry, we're not going to do anything with that subscription list. Okie dokie, moving on.
Okay, thank you, Guy. I will pick up the agenda from here on and I will start with the scheduler. But before we do, I've got a couple of questions for you. I just want to understand from our people that are on the call today, our users that are on the call, if you've started using the scheduler. So now is the opportunity to participate via either the link that we've shared or the Menti code from your phone. I've already seen some responses coming through. So we've got 7 people that have participated. We've got 136 of you here, so I'm expecting to see more responses. So yes, we're seeing that 23% of the people that have voted love it. Not yet, but planning to. For those of you that are not yet planning to, remember you have access to your success manager. So if you've not yet started, but want to get started and need some guidance and help, your success manager can definitely help you with that. Alternatively, there is scheduler training, free, available every week during the months of March, and thereafter available every second month, so bi-monthly. So 45% of you, not yet but planning to. We're hoping to see you in a future scheduler training session. I'm glad to see that nobody else prefers other tools. You can see the votes are still coming in. That's a pity. 4% of you prefer the planning tools. I'm going to quickly move to the next question. If you haven't started using the PPO scheduler, what's the main reason? Let us know what's preventing you. Okay, did somebody start sharing?
I saw Lynette Anderson popped up there on the name. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay, we've got 11 responses. Numbers quickly climbing. I need more training or guidance. So for those of you that may have attended scheduler training and you want to attend a refresher or a second round of training, you're more than welcome to. There's no limit to the number of sessions that you can attend. So if you have attended one and want to jump onto another course, please feel free to do so. And my final question that I have for you here is, are you aware of PPO's free online training sessions? Okay, can certainly keep your eye out. We should expect to see at least 5 new signups, 6. Perfect.
For those wondering where to sign up, Lindy has posted the link. It's on the PPO website under training, so you can go and register, see the dates that suit your calendar, and book yourself on that. And that's available to all users, so it doesn't have to just be PMO people or administrators. You can share that with your whole team as well.
Okay, so thank you for everyone who's participated in the poll. I think we've got one more question coming up for you later on in the session. But for now, I'm going to jump to our scheduler agenda. If you haven't yet subscribed, please remember every Thursday, you'll get a product news item. So tomorrow, if you sign up today, you'll still make it to get our latest product news article. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly jump to my PPO instance. Okay, so our first agenda item is on the scheduler, and I think the one that I do want to start with is probably the most common question that we've received since the introduction of the scheduler. So when the scheduler was deployed in January of this year, it was immediately available to all clients, but the most important thing is that regardless of whether you had an existing project like we have here, so I mean, these are all existing projects. These projects had existing schedules, and those schedules would have gotten into PPO in various ways. They could have either imported an MSP schedule, they could have either imported an Excel template, or even added tasks manually. And the most common question that we get is the scheduler still available to projects that may have imported an MSP? And the answer to that is yes. You'll notice this is an example of such project. It's an existing project. The import was done via MSP, and via the scheduler, you will still have access to the functionality that is available to all new projects if you don't have an existing schedule or MSP template. So that is still available. It shows it in exactly the same way that it would show if you were looking at an MSP. Nothing is lost. You still see your full schedule. So that hopefully answers the question that most of you have had is, do I still have access or can I still make use of the scheduler if I used an MSP import? So answer, yes. Also available if you made use of an import via Excel or the task import sheet for Google Sheet users or for Safari users or Mac users. So yes, the scheduler is still available. If you make use of template projects and your tasks are auto-created from a template project, do you have access to the scheduler? And again, the answer is yes. So you don't only have access to the scheduler if you're starting to build a schedule from scratch. So that's the most common question. Now, I just want to demonstrate some of the key functionality that you have. We did do an introduction of the functionality when we covered this in our September webinar. So we gave you a sneak peek and we covered it in a very limited detail about what you have access to. So this is my time and attendance project. It's a brand new project. I have no task information. If you were to access the scheduler, which I'll do now, this is it. You can immediately start building your schedule from scratch. The start date of your project will be determined by the start date of the very first task that you have. So you'll see the summary task as well as the project task start date is determined by the start date of your first task. So that's important to note. You have the ability to show summary, which is your project task, your summary task, and then milestones. So the ability to indicate different task types is available to you, like you would in any other type of scheduling tool. The ability to schedule in PPO is probably one of the most significant enhancements that we've had in PPO for a long time. The question has always been, why can we not do scheduling in PPO? So it's a bit surprising that not a lot of you have started using it immediately. I know that it does take some time to get used to, but the ability to do this breaks your dependency on external scheduling tools. Not only are you now in a position to reduce your technology costs, you can now have an all-in-one integrated solution for your project. So nothing where you need to keep extra files outside of PPO, like an MSP plan or an Excel template. This is now all available to you directly in PPO. From a Gantt view perspective, you can see the difference between the types of tasks you have. So you can see our project task is color-coded differently, our summary task, as well as our underlying task. Our milestone is depicted through a diamond. You have your slider at the top, which allows you to zoom in and out, and you can see that it does the zooming on a month level, on a daily, weekly level here, as you can see it. So week starting the 5th, the 28th, these are all week start dates. Here's our month level. Here's our quarter level. And then you have your year level. So with the slider, you have the ability to zoom in and out. One of the easy features that we have available is the ability to update your progress like this one. So if you're paying attention to this task 1, our actual progress is reported at 0%. If I click on this task, you see there's a bar at the bottom. If I drag the bar, you'll notice the progress is updating both at a task level, summary task, and project task level. So with the scheduler, you have automatic roll-up at summary task and progress level. Updating that progress can be done. Sometimes it's not as easy to do depending on how you've zoomed in and out and the durations of the activities. So you may not be able to easily drag the bar. That doesn't stop you from updating progress. You can click into the progress bar and update the progress in the same way as if you were using the slider to drag the progress. Connecting tasks to each other. So that's building relationships between tasks. So as you can see, this has a relationship where this task 2 is dependent on task 1. We identify that through this arrow, which connects the 2 tasks together. If I were to remove this task, remove the predecessor, there's no relationship. Bringing the relationship back, you can do it this way, connecting the tasks together, or updating the predecessor bar. You'll also be able to, much like you would do in other scheduling tools, change the start date, and maybe you want it to be 2 days after that task finishes or 3 days. You'll see it pushes it out even further. So you have the ability to set relationships, finish start relationships, start to start relationships, finish to finish relationships. So if that's the kind of thing you've been doing in other scheduling tools, you still have the ability to do that in the scheduler as well. So connecting tasks together through relationships is there. The ability to update progress, you see that there. You can do that either through your task bar, that your slider where you drag the progress update, or through editing the actual progress field. The same with assigning responsibilities, setting milestones. Milestones are done in the same way that you would in MSP by setting the duration of the milestone to 0 days, and that makes that a milestone and depicted through a diamond. Okay, so some of the key functionalities that you're used to is already available to you. And just to quickly touch on some of the icons that you see at the top. I've already done some of them, but I'll just quickly show it to you. So these two tasks, they form part of the summary task, and how I achieved that is through indenting the task. If I outdent it, I no longer have this as my summary task. So you have the ability to indent and outdent, and that's what these two icons do. If you've made a mistake and you want to change or undo something you've just done, you have your undo button to do that, as well as your redo button if you want to actually bring it back. This gives you the ability to show or hide items. Currently, all my items are being shown, but if I were to click on this one, it's going to hide. If I click on that first bar, it's going to show it again, and I can do that, and it'll show the next level. But you can use this or this, and that shows and hides your underlying tasks. You can select a set and choose to hide the set, and you can do the same thing. So when you've got a more extensive schedule with more activities, you can hide and unhide certain sections of the plan. This shows you your critical path. So if you click on this, you immediately see which tasks are visible on your critical path. And these are my two tasks that are visible on the critical path. If I no longer want to see which activities are on the critical path, I can unclick that, and then I have my ability to go into full screen mode. Now, this full screen mode is particularly useful if you are in status meetings and you want to bring up the plan on screen. Then you can do this. Before, being able to do this wasn't as easy as it is now. And if you want to minimize it and exit from the full screen, you just use that icon to get you back to where you were. Something that we've introduced since the scheduler, so if you don't submit and you navigate away from PPO for some or other reason, or you forget, because this has been a schedule, so if I go back to my project view page, it's still showing that I don't have a schedule, and that's because I haven't yet submitted it. A recent enhancement based on feedback from the clients that have started using it was the ability to auto-save the schedule. So the more you use it and the more you identify improvements, the more we'll review those, prioritize them based on how valuable that feature will be. And auto-saving the schedule was one such enhancement where we saw that would be immediately useful. You don't want to lose the stuff you've just built. And now we support the auto-save. But I'm just going to quickly submit that. And now you see there's my schedule. Because I hadn't yet submitted it, I did not see the avatars of my resources assigned to the activities. Through submitting, I can immediately see who are those resources per activity. So that's your scheduler. The key functionality that you would typically use in a scheduling tool is available. To recap, the ability to set durations of tasks. You can change durations or set the durations. You can either make use of an input field on the duration column. Alternatively, you can just drag the task along, and if you pulled the end date, that would adjust the task state for you. So there. If I move that on and extend the duration, move to 38 days, you can see that the rest of the activity is updated accordingly. So you can make use of this inline editing to adjust or drag in the bar for duration. Setting your start dates can be done through building relationships through tasks or manually editing the start date, changing the duration, and that will give you your planned end date, your planned finish date. The ability to update actual progress is done through dragging the progress bar to update actual progress. Through updating your actual progress, you have automated real-time roll up to a summary task as well as project task level that shows you planned progress percentage updates. You have the ability to distinguish different types of tasks, namely project, summary, task, and milestone. The ability to indent and outdent tasks, showing your tasks on your critical path, moving into full screen. So that's the key functionality that the scheduler gives. In addition, you also would have found that with the introduction of the scheduler, there were some improvements made to the Gantt chart as well as the Gantt chart widget. So if you look at the Gantt chart, you immediately can go to the Gantt chart view, and this gives you the ability to export the Gantt as a PDF. So for those of you that still have the governance requirements of attaching your MSP project plan to your project as a governance document, you can still achieve the same thing by generating an export of the Gantt PDF. So you've got the ability to do that exporting Gantt PDF, and that will give you the same information like you see in the scheduler. One final thing that I just wanted to demonstrate with the improvements to the Gantt widget, I'll just move to my home page to show it to you. So I'm going to quickly add it, and I'm going to use my resource allocations data because I've shown this to some of my clients and they immediately surprised that they can do this. So if you don't make use of building your own home pages often, remember these widgets allow you to build your own reporting outputs. This was an enhancement we did, I think it was last year, the beginning of last year, where you can build your own dashboards using the widgets. So this one, resource allocations, and if I start building a widget, you can immediately see there is a view of resource allocations data showing the start and end dates and how resources are assigned to different projects over certain periods. And this immediately gives you a resource allocation Gantt view as long as you have a start or any date, not necessarily a start and finish date, at least one date. If you have at least one date, you can generate a Gantt view using the Gantt widget. And you can do that for any type of data, resource allocations, showing end dates of projects. So if you wanted to get at some kind of a Gantt view of projects that are planned to finish in the next quarter or something like that, you could quite easily achieve that. So this also introduced some improvements to the Gantt widget at the same time at which the scheduler was introduced. So I'll just quickly save this. And that's it. So that is some of the key features of the scheduler that's been made available for you to now get started with building schedules directly in PPO. So it doesn't matter the type of maturity you have. So if you're a junior project manager, a business analyst, doesn't matter. You will be able to start using this straight away. Even for projects that are maybe not projects in the true sense of the word, and maybe they're business as usual type activities, nothing stops you from planning out those activities using the scheduler. We have lots of clients that do that. So they say, well, we're not really a formal project environment, but we do have a task list. And this would be one way to achieve that as well. I see your question was how to navigate to the scheduler view. I'll quickly demonstrate it once again. So from my home page, if you've got any project here, here's one. I'll quickly drill through from the project. On your project view page, you should have your entities listed, and I've just moved my task entity up to the top. From the actions button, view scheduler is right at the bottom. So if you click on view scheduler, you should be able to access the scheduler. I see a hand. Before I hand over to Guy to hand over to Victor, I will take one question. There's a hand up there with two hands up.
All right. Thank you. how do you increase the columns on the scheduler? For example, if you want to see the whole, if the
Task.
task is too long, for example, and you want to see, yes, how do you do that?
So you'll see the column end
Mm-hmm.
dates where the column ends. There, you just
Yes.
drag it. So
Okay.
you just drag the width of the column,
Ah, thanks.
and you can do that on all the columns. Okay. Ambrose, I can actually answer that question for you. I'm not going to take too long, but what typically happens, which didn't happen in the task list previously. So if I go to this project view that I have of this exact project, let me just open it. I'm going to go to the task list. So this is my schedule that I've got. If we look at just want to get rid of these filters. So it's definitely not a bug. It's intended behavior, and that would be the behavior you would get in something like MSP as well. If you take note, the 31st of March is our start. The planned end date is the 27th of May. If I were to, in my scheduler, delete a task, if I delete this task and submit, what's going to happen is that the information on my schedule is going to change. And that would happen in any case. If I changed anything here, if I go back to my task list, the information here is going to update based on the changes that I had made to my scheduler. So the scenarios under which that could happen is if you orphan any work. So if you're going to delete tasks, if you're going to make changes to the underlying information. Previously, the task list remained static, but with the scheduler, as you update and submit and change information, a consequence of that would be that you're potentially changing the start and end dates of the overall project. So definitely not a bug. It's an intended consequence, and it's probably happening for the right reasons. You must just be mindful of what changes. So if you're pushing out dates on a task, it's going to change because all these tasks are linked together in a relationship of some sort. And that's what would happen. The dates will change. Okay, so I don't want to steal any time from Victor. There are questions still coming through, which we will answer in the chat, but over to you, Guy.
Thanks, Taryn. I was halfway through answering the question on the autosave, so I'll come back and finish that answer there just now, just with some more information. Very quick introduction to Victor. So Victor is a very regular attendee of these webinars. I think he's probably got 100% attendance register since attendance record since we started these, and always gives us a lot of good feedback. And was comfortable enough to put his hand up to say he thinks he's now ready to present. Victor heads up the Momentum Metropolitan African Portfolio Management Office. He's been a multi-client PPO user, so he used it before, starting as a portfolio manager somewhere and then moving up into his current role. So Victor, once again, thanks for all your support for PPO over the years. Thanks for doing this session. We also actually won an award last year on the back of the implementation that we did with Victor and the team in 2023 originally. I'll post some of those links in the chat as well. I think it's good to read that and to understand that. So Victor, thanks for your time today. And I'm going to hand over quickly to Victor that he can get going. And we're going to then get going with answering some of these other questions that I'll keep popping up over here as well. Victor, you
Thanks,
there?
guys.
There you go.
Can you all guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, can you see my shared screen as well? Okay, thank you. All right, I was just talking to my colleague that's sitting with me here. I said, after PPO developed the scheduler, I think they can do anything now. Anything is now possible. I think the scheduler was the most difficult one for me. And I think it was one that came in quite handy and safe on the cost on MSP and Excel and everything. So thank you guys for doing that. So for this session, ladies and gentlemen, I thought of doing a PowerPoint presentation in terms of my talk and my chat. And then I realized as I was working on the PowerPoint that there was no point behind the power. So I decided, let me speak from the heart and at least show you what we're doing here. And I've only got a few minutes to just showcase what I do have. Now, if I turn back the hand of time and look back at where we came from, the question that we always had from a business perspective is, why are we here? What are we doing from a portfolio management office perspective? I've been on record within my ExCom team and my ExCom meetings. I've been on record saying my job is not to deliver projects. They all look at me and say, what do you do here? And my job is to deliver outcomes. There's a reason why I'm mentioning outcomes, because outcomes tie into benefits. Because you might be very good delivering projects year in, year out, quite a number of projects being delivered, but what are the outcomes that you are getting? What is the end result? What is the benefit to your customers? What is the benefit to your business that you're bringing in? What can you link your projects to your strategy? Is there a link, the outcome that you're chasing? Can you link them to your strategy? So those are all the questions that you look at. So looking at that, we say to ourselves, what is the impact? What is the customer impact? And if our project cannot impact the bottom line, then there's no point in doing it. So we went back and started looking at how do we then get the benefits? You can only get the benefits if you do proper business casing. And if you do a proper business case, therein lies the benefits, because now you can justify why you're doing the project. So we then said, before we even go to the system, before I even talk to PPO, guys, we need to automate something that exists, that is working. What is it that is working? What is it that we have that is not working? And what is it that we want to achieve and see at the end of the day? So then we looked at, okay, let's look at what we do here. So what you're seeing here is a cover page for a document that the people had to complete to make sure that they can have all their benefits. I'm not going to drill down into that because I want to show you PPO quickly. But from an Excel perspective, we then said, okay, let's look at our portfolio. How then can we capture our benefits? We categorize our benefits into financial, non-financial. We also have a disbenefit. We also then says, okay, can I classify, can I give a type of this benefit? And how will I measure? And how do I describe it? And the most important thing is, who is the owner of this benefit? And when am I going to realize it? And when am I going to start tracking it? So all that information, and then you start looking at what is your current value right now and what is the planned value, because you only know that you've arrived if you know where you came from. If you don't know where you came from, you know that you've arrived. So all that information that people then capture, synthesize, summarize, we get that information. Then we say to ourselves, now therein comes PPO. But before we even go to PPO, we then said, let's then make sure that even from our life cycle perspective, benefits tracking is also part and parcel of our life cycle. In other words, we're looking at it from a PMO perspective and say, from a PMO perspective, how do we get involved in benefits tracking? And right at the end of our phases of our project, whether we deliver agile way or do or whatever, at the end, we just have to have benefits tracking. And we then develop a process. And you can see from here that actually we drove the entire ownership of benefits to the sponsors and the owners, and not necessarily to the PMO. Our job is then to be the policeman to make sure that the people are doing the right things, they actually track it all. So now, how do we then get all those benefits onto our system, onto the PPO itself? The question was very simple. The same way that we are capturing them on that Excel spreadsheet, then I have to come to my PPO, then I say, let me capture my benefits. First of all, you need to identify which project are you talking to. And then we then specify what category it is that you need. Then you look at the type. What is the title? So all these, there are dependencies that you do have, that if I select a financial benefit there, then it will then determine what title that I will get from a title of type perspective. Then I can describe that benefit. Then I can specify how am I going to measure it, and who is the owner of that benefit. Which year am I going to realize it? The reason why we had to emphasize and break down on the years and the months was also determined in terms of a flow, more like a cash flow for all our benefits, and say in which particular way we can categorize all our benefits per year, per month, and be able to have all these views, so at least we can tell in terms of our projects, in terms of our portfolio, how we are going to extract and get the benefits. And then we actually specify, say, when are we going to start tracking this benefit? So In terms of the statuses, there is quite a number of that we actually specified and said we need to look at. It could be in the pipeline. In other words, I'm still going to start tracking in the future, or I'm tracking it, or I've achieved it, or it's not realizable. Sometimes people then say, "Hey, yeah, I don't know what happened. The environment has changed. It's no longer viable for us to get this benefit, so it's not realizable." But there are also times when people say, "I don't know what I was smoking when we actually came up with these benefits. Now let's cancel this benefit because it's not even practically possible." Maybe they did it and got this glorified business case for them to be able to get the money. Now, colleagues, this is just capturing, and we have all this field that we have actually set up, and then we'll be able to see the reg status. I'm chasing that time. Now, when we come to our homepage now, what then happens is we have developed our benefit realization. You can see I've got a number of home pages. I run projects. I've got portfolios in each of the countries where we have presence. And each country I've developed their own homepage. And I also have what I look at from a segment portfolio. I look at my portfolio. I look at the head of payment, but I also look at benefit realization. And I say to myself, let me look at my benefits per country and per type and see. In the Africa Center, how am I doing? From a Mozambique perspective, how am I doing in Botswana? And I look at the size of each block. That gives me the relative size or amount of benefit that we do have for those particular countries. You can see right on this first block here, you have all my countries: Africa, Mozambique, Botswana, Lesotho, Namibia, all of them. They are sitting there. I can be able to visually see what is happening from a benefits perspective just by me looking onto PPO, and this screen jumps at me. And if there's anything that I need to highlight, I can quickly just jump and then have to go and speak to the relevant businesses. Now, if I scroll down, you will find that I can then say, okay, I've got 98 benefits here. As you can see, I'm using a test site that we created 2 weeks ago. I've got 98 benefits here. That's all that I have captured. But out of these 98, 53 are in the pipeline. I'm able to see how many are being tracked at the moment and how many have achieved so far. And I can also see what is unrealizable. I can also see which benefits are overdue. In other words, no updates have been given. There's nothing that has been said, no actuals have been captured, or no comment that has been captured. I can be able to see that. And then I can also see how many are overdue. And I can also see how many have been completed. But when you look at the amount itself, in other words, the person went and set the benefit as completed or achieved. But when I look at the actual versus the plan, I see that they are less than 100%. So all this is to look at the information and give me the triggers to go and have the very good conversations with the people. And all this information that I have here can also be extracted separately for each of the individual dashboards, be it a program dashboard, be it a project status dashboard. Each dashboard would have its own benefit realization plan there, and all the key metrics shown in that dashboard. The reason we do that is because in every steerco, we want benefit realization to be part of the agenda of that steerco. So you can see now, because I've got various countries, now I'm able to distribute all my count to see which country is doing very well from a benefits perspective by status. And if I look at all my benefits, how many of my benefits are not realizable or in the pipeline or are tracking or achieved? I can also look at which benefits they've got incomplete data, which is very, very important for us, because maybe the benefits owner is missing, or maybe there's something missing from the data that we do have. Maybe it's not a compulsory or mandatory field and it's missing. Then I can be able to determine as well, right at the beginning, at the categories of the various benefits, financial, non-financial, and see the distribution per country. I can also see the distribution of the status per country, the realization years, which is important. In which year am I going to get the benefits? I can see all the way down up to 2028, which means my project will be running today, but the benefits, some of them are going to be achieved in 2028, or they are spread per year. Then I can see how I am looking. And every year when I do my new portfolio planning, then I'm able to determine in terms of this quantum of the changes of the benefits. And then I can now be able to say, okay, let me go and look at the status per owner and be able to see who has got the most and who is doing the most. So all this information, ladies and gentlemen, helps us from a planning perspective to see how we are doing, where we are going, where we are coming from the benefits perspective. And this is just a landing page. The reports themselves will give us even more detail and more information with regards to the benefits. You can see right now on this landing page, I can say, let me look at all my financial benefits. How am I doing? What is my plan? What is my actual? I can also go down and say, let me look at my non-financial benefits. How are we doing from that? Some other colleagues, which is something that we're planning to do in the future, they've said, okay, we'll just split financial and non-financial from a categorization perspective. But from a numbers perspective, we can actually convert the numbers, whatever it is, a non-financial benefit number, we can convert it to monetary value. And this is the future work that we are looking at. And not only that, colleagues, if I decide to run reports, say for instance, I want to run my benefit realization report, because I've got multiple countries, I've got multiple currencies. You can see what PPO does. I am able to convert my benefits to the currency that I want to see the report in. I could have a mixture of benefits, some in US dollars, some in rand, some in Botswana pool. But when I pull the report, it converts them into a single currency. How does this help? It helps somebody sitting in Botswana that they might not understand the value of the dollar or the rand, but they can run a report in their own country, in their own currency, which then gives them information within their own country. So all these reports that we can have, I can have a detailed report that I can be able to group. You can see when I'm running it, I can decide to group by category, by owner. Say, for example, when I approach people individually, I can then be able to say, let me group by owner, or let me group by country, so that I can extract benefits for a certain country, speak to that country, or by measure, or I can do by year. I can group by any of these fields that we do have. So, colleagues, in the interest of time, I just wanted to give you a highlight so that maybe I can scratch that interest in you and awaken that consciousness and say, perhaps you have not started doing this in PPO. This is the opportunity. Go for it. And all this you get standard and you'll be able to get results. Thank you. That's my story.
Thank you, Victor.
These presentations are always tough to do because the clients always have a lot of content to share, but we only give them 10 minutes because we want to cover so much other stuff. So Victor, well done, and thanks very much for that. There's a lot of good questions coming in. Thank you. We're trying to answer them all in an organized way as best as we can. Thanks for those, and thanks for the feedback. What we've always done in PPO is we've released a feature which is ready to go. We're comfortable with it. It's stable. It adds good value to our client base, and then we enhance it. We've already done 4 enhancements on the scheduler, and we've got 16 more logged that we know of, that we plan to do, or looking at doing, should I rather say that, and 2 that are in the pipeline actually at the moment. So we will continue to improve the scheduler. We will continue to add stuff to the scheduler, but we wanted to release a viable first product to the clients to get going. So we'll continue to answer those questions coming in and try and explain as much as possible. If you have a lot of questions, you're also more than welcome to attend that training session that we're doing, and the trainers there will obviously answer as much as possible. We're going to try and rush through the rest of the agenda and finish in 9 minutes. So, Tarryn, over to you quickly to finalize.
Perfect, thank you. So I think I will manage. I just wanted to quickly show you the other small enhancements. They small, but I think they bring significant value to users, specifically around communication. And the first one I'm going to touch on is the improvements to the feed. So I think there's been a slower uptake to this one on improvements to the feed, but just to stress the value that it gives. The feed allows you to bring your communications directly to PPO. So you can have everything about a particular item all against that item. So you don't have offline conversations on Teams or WhatsApp or email. Everything is traceable. So you can track commentary, you've got the reactions, you've got all of those good things that you've got directly in PPO. With the feed, we were also able to bring email events that you would have received for when an item has been added or updated. And one of the biggest questions or enhancements raised was to see what has changed on the feed when you send your notifications to the feed for events like an add or an edit. And here's an example of such send to feed notification. This is a project that was updated. The first thing you notice is you've got the see more, which we didn't have before. So it saves you quite a bit of time having to drill into each item. Now you can use the see more. You can quickly see this would have been done via an email notification. You can see that what changed was the sponsor, old value, new value, portfolio type also changed. And immediately, if it's important to me, I can mark it as unread and go back to it, or I can delete it. I don't have to drill through to the item. You can just see all the information that changes there. Here, see more, see less, delete. So it saves quite a bit of time. If you've not yet converted some of your email notifications to the feed, I would encourage you to do so, especially if you're trying to get your users to stay in PPO, work in PPO, no necessary emails. You can do that directly from the feed. The next one that I'm going to show you is the ability to share your homepage. So the homepage came last year. We've made lots of improvements since then, one of them being able to PDF your outputs, and the second being able to share a customized dashboard that you've maybe built with another user. So here's an example of one. So I've built this demand view, and there's an executive that I think would find value in it. So I've got a calendar showing the follow-up dates of these demand items. I've got a view of my open demands and an overdue demand, and here's the timeline using the Gantt widget showing who's the demand owner and when the end dates for this is. So I'd like to share this. So I'm going to show you. This is the user that I want to share it with. So this is Harry Adams. If we quickly look at Harry's homepage, Harry doesn't have this demand view. If I go back, I can click on share. I can choose Harry from my list of users. And when I click on share, Harry will automatically get this view that I've just shared with him. So this does save quite a bit of time, especially if you've built a view that you think other users will gain value from and they don't have to spend the time building it themselves from scratch. There immediately Harry now has this demand view that I've shared. So those are the two features that are not as big as the scheduler, but significant time savers and adds quite a bit of value to the users as those two, which you've maybe not started using or not aware of, but I would definitely encourage you to do so. On the scheduler, the final thing that I wanted to mention, having heard from Guy that we release the product or the feature, we wait for adoption, we get feedback, understand what new features you'd want to it. There's one such feature coming later this month, probably the first week of April, is the ability to calculate planned progress at a task level. So quickly, I'm going to explain it very briefly. So historically, planned progress at the project level calculates real time. It's always been that way. So you'll see, regardless of when last you update the schedule. So this schedule was last updated on the 7th. This planned progress that you see will continue to tick away every day. Planned progress will be determined through the underlying tasks, where all the task type equals task. It looks at the start and end date of those tasks, and based on the start and end date, the planned progress will continue to calculate. So if this come a month down the line and there's still been no update to the schedule, this will be accurate. This might not be accurate, so you can see the planned progress at the project task level from the underlying task may not represent what you see at the project level. The enhancement that we're introducing is to calculate this at the task level real time. So this currently shows at 33%. Luckily, in this case, it's still the same. But in some instances, the plan progress does not, or currently does not align to what you see at the project level. So look out for this on the 1st of April. You will see this, well, first week of April, you'll see that tasks will now calculate real time the same way which it does at the project level. And that was it for today, I think. I just want to quickly ask you one more polling question, and it's just to rate the value of today's session. As soon as I bring that up, I just want to get this going, and access to everything that we covered today will be available in the PowerPoint that we share post the session. So all the resources, links to the articles, all available in the PDF. So if there's any specific content you're unsure of, chat to your success manager or reach out to the support desk. And I think I managed that with 1 minute to go. Guy, over to you.
A lot of the questions coming in relate to how the scheduler works to do things like searching for tasks that are overdue, or setting up tasks that are unlinked, or setting up deleting tasks. Remember, the scheduler is just a piece of software over the current task table. So in PPO, from day zero, when we released the product 18 years ago, we had a task table, and you can get tasks into PPO by adding them manually, by using an MSP import, by using an Excel import. If you're a Google Sheet client, you can use Google Sheets. All we've done is give you the ability to do scheduling on top of that existing data. So if you wanted to delete all tasks, it's the standard functionality. Get to the task list, select the task you want to delete, delete all. If you want to search for tasks that have a certain name, you can search for them like you would normally search. If you wanted to see tasks that were overdue, you'd run a normal task list filter. So all those features are there. All we've done with the scheduler is give you an interactive tool where you can do some basic scheduling, the dependencies that Tarryn showed out to you, all those type of things. More and more clients are using a simpler project plan going forward, so they're not using fancy tools these days, or they use something like Microsoft Project to do the initial schedule, get that baseline, get that agreed, and then import it into PPO. But maintaining it and updating it is then something you can easily do with the schedule in PPO without having to go backwards and forwards to MSP. We're not trying to replace a good scheduling discipline or a good scheduling tool or something. We're just giving an alternative option to maintain your plans, to set dependencies, to add new tasks, to take out tasks, to change some of the sort orders of those tasks in a simpler, easier way. You could even have project plans that are automatically pulled into the project using the template. So when the project gets added, it pre-loads the project plan based on the type of project, and then you can maintain it and update it all in the scheduler. So that's the only difference, is the scheduler gives you that front-end ability, but the underlying data is still the same task data that you've always had in PPO. You could go to PPO today and look at the scheduler for a project that you imported from a Microsoft project plan 3 months ago, and you'd find it all there. So I think that's just important to understand as well. Okay, Victor has responded to the 2 questions that were logged there. So thanks for that, Victor. Thanks for everybody for the feedback that we've been given, and that's a good score for today. Thank you, everybody. Tarryn wanted to share the next session with you quickly. Okay, those are all the links to it. Our next session, 11th of June, just after Comrades, for those of you doing Comrades. Then run Comrades on Sunday and come to this webinar in June. So middle of the day, 11th of June, there's the link to book it. These are also all available on our website always. If you go to the PPO website and you go to product webinars, you'll find them all there. And we've got them already planned out for the rest of the year if you want to have a look at them. But those of you that want, there's the URL. Lindy has also posted it. Remember to share this with your audience as well. This is not just for administrators or PMO owners or PPO owners. If you want to bring all your users to the session, you're entitled to it as well. We have no limit on how many people can attend these webinars, so we can have an unlimited number. Obviously, in most cases, it's the PPO owners and admins that attend, but you're more than welcome to share it with a wider audience as well. For those that did join and added questions and contributed, thank you very much. For those that have come for the first time, hopefully you got some good value, and we'll see you again on the 11th of June. And for everybody else, thanks for your time today, and hopefully you got some good value out of this. And if there are questions after this, as Tarryn mentioned, please just talk to your success manager, log a support ticket. We're here every day to help you guys. So blog that stuff and we'll help and we'll assist.
Thank you.